What's up? Play Sports Gamer here, and I got a video about the NBA and a trend that is happening that I believe in. I want to first highlight a story in the NBA recently, highlighting my trend that is happening. But first, if you could please subscribe, like, and comment, I would be very appreciative of that. I am starting to get momentum back on my channel, thanks to Phil Spencer and the Xbox. And I hope to continue, so I appreciate a like. Thanks. Let's get into the story. Bucks fire coach Mike Budenholzer after early exit. I personally think Budenholzer was done dirty on this, and this story will explain why, but is especially going to highlight a trend in the NBA that honestly, I agree with. I agree this should be happening in the NBA, and I'll explain later why. But first, Milwaukee Bucks has fired coach Mike Budenholzer after the East top seed suffered a first-round playoff loss to the Miami Heat. The decision to make this change was very difficult, said Bucks general manager John Horst said. Bud helped lead our team to 5 incredible seasons, to the Bucks' first title in 50 years, and into the era of sustained success. We are grateful for the culture of winning and leadership that Bud has helped create in Milwaukee. And two things in this sentence highlighted why I don't understand why he was fired. First, and most importantly, first title in 50 years. Milwaukee had success before, especially in the mid to late 80s, but they just couldn't take it to the next level. They couldn't reach the championship, and then they went through some hard times. But then they drafted Giannis, and things turned around, and they have been one of the top teams in the East for a while. And this coach took them to that. They sustained victories, and they won the first championship. So I don't know why he was fired. The only thing I could think of is two things. A, there was a rumble in the locker room that the players, they get tired of this coach. That happens when a coach has been there for a little bit. Players get tired of the way they coach them, and they want like a change. And the players rule in the NBA, and if they want a coach fired, they will get him fired. Second is the trend I am going to discuss later in this video. This is an opportunity for us to refocus and re-energize our efforts as we continue building towards our next championship season. Budenholzer had 2 years left in his deal, worth approximately $16 million, sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Bucks won 58 games under Budenholzer during the 22-23 season and entered the 23 playoffs as the NBA's number 1 overall seed, but fell in the first round to number 8 seed Miami Heat in 5 games, becoming only the 6th 1 seed in NBA history to lose to an 8 seed. Budenholzer is just the 4th coach in the past 50 seasons to lead this team to the best record in the NBA and not return the following season, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, joining Mike Brown of Cleveland, Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls, and Pat Riley of the Lakers. What makes me believe there's a rumble in the locker room, why not let him play out his contract 2 more years? Now the Bucks have to pay 2 coaches for the next 2 years, which makes me believe that players, probably Giannis, wanted a change in the coach. They wanted a coach that catered to more to their level than Budenholzer provided. And I want to highlight this little thing on the right-hand side of the screen. The NBA coaching turnover at the top. Mike Budenholzer firing Thursday means that 3 of the past 4 NBA champions, the 2019 Raptors, 2020 Lakers, 2021 Bucks, have fired their coaches. I wonder if you notice a trend that I'm going to highlight later, and I keep saying that, of these coaches. Steve Kerr is the only one that's remained. Budenholzer, Frank Vogel, and Nick Nurse. What do they have in common? You give up yet? They are white head coaches. And that leads me to my trend. The trend in the NBA is going, seems like to me, is going from white head coaches to African American head coaches. And it's something I agree with, and I'll explain why after I continue with this article. Budenholzer's decision-making during the Heat series came under question when the Bucks squandered double-digit leads in games 4 and 5. In game 5, Milwaukee had a pair of opportunities to win the game in the final possession in the fourth quarter in overtime, but Budenholzer elected not to use his final timeout in either scenario. Sometimes you don't use a timeout. You want to get there before the defense sets. So you want to hurry down the court. If you call a timeout, the defense has plenty of time to set up and try to stop them. So that's why I think why he didn't call a timeout, and that happens a lot. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. There are mistakes going to be made with coaching, but he's a successful coach. Yes, he's lost in the first round a couple of years, but on all, he's successful and probably shouldn't have gotten fired, in my opinion. He did bring him to a championship First time in 50 years. The Bucks decided to go a different direction. We'll see how good they do in this coming years. Budenholzer acknowledged after Game 5 that he should have called a timeout to advance the ball at the end of the fourth quarter, but he did not call a timeout before the final possession in overtime. The Bucks never got the final shot off before their season ended. Yes, that's the coach's fault. Man, you got to get the shot off. You have to have a play in your back pocket to call to get a shot off. That is on the coach to get that done. Heat star Jimmy Butler delivered an all-time playoff performance, averaging 37 points, 59% shooting, but Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo was critical of the team's lack of adjustments to try to slow him down, saying he wished he had more reps defending Butler. Out of respect, you got to let the coach make the adjustment. At the end of the day, I wish I could have guarded Butler more. During Budenholzer's tenure, the Bucks transformed into the perennial contender in the 2021 NBA Finals, won the franchise first championship in 50 years. Milwaukee went 271 and 120 during his regular season with Budenholzer at the helm, the best record in the league across that span. The Bucks finished with the best record in the NBA 3 separate seasons, but never made it to the finals in any of those seasons. They dropped 2 playoff series to the Heat this season and in the Orlando bubble in 2020, both in 5 games when they were overwhelming favorites. Speculation about Budenholzer's job status swirled following the 2020 playoff loss to the Miami, but the Bucks rebounded to win the championship next season. He signed a 3-year contract extension after the 2021 season, which ran through 2024-2025. Like, given all these facts, I don't think he should have been fired. I think he should have been able to actually finish his contract. That's my opinion. I'm not the owner, so I don't make those decisions. I'm not the GM, so they decided to make that decision. We'll see what happens. So here's the trend happening in the NBA. So here's a graph of players in the NBA by race. I think you could tell which race the players are by the graph. The blue is white, black is African American, then Hispanic is gray, and 2 or more races is green. It's been pretty consistent through the years from 2010 to 2022, with 2022 whites at 17%, African Americans 71.8%. With that said, I think it's a good thing for the NBA to have more and more African American coaches in this league. More likely than not, they grew up playing basketball, they've played college basketball, and some of them, if not most of them, have been playing in the NBA. So they know how to play in the NBA. They can relate to these players a lot more than a white coach. Most likely, the white coaches have not played the NBA. There are some, say Steve Nash, but most of them have not. They might have played in college or high school, but not in the NBA. So I think this is a good growing trend, and it should continue to happen. I think in the NBA, there should be a majority African American coaches. Like I said, they can relate to the players. They know the strategy of basketball more since they probably played in the NBA. They can motivate players more, use that past to motivate players. And I think the players, and I don't know what's in their head, but in my opinion, I think the players feel more comfortable playing for an African American coach. So the NBA is doing a good thing, having more and more African American coaches. Right now, it's half the league that has African American coaches, and that trend should grow more and more and more. Me personally, I hope Greg Popovich retires and leaves, and I have a video on that. I'll leave a link in the description why he puts too much into politics than actually coaching the NBA. So to wrap this up, I think Mike Budenholzer got done dirty in this. He was a very successful coach for Milwaukee. They were constantly winning. They won a first championship in 50 years. I think he should at least play out his contract. But besides that, the trend in the NBA is a good thing, and I hope it grows more and more and more. Same with college. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's a good growing trend? What do you think of Mike Budenholzer? Do you think he was fairly fired, or should have remained as coach of Milwaukee Bucks? Please leave a comment below, and especially I hope you guys like this video and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.